There are secrets out there, guys, performance marketing secrets, and knowing just one or two of them can absolutely light up your funnels. Let's go. This is the Revenue Driven CMO. I'm your host, Chris Mechanic. Join me as I uncover the secrets of the world's most elite CMOs and marketing leaders. The Revenue Driven CMO is sponsored by Web Mechanics, the AI-driven performance agency that makes you smarter. Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Revenue Driven CMO. I'm your main man, Chris Mechanic, and we have got an awesome episode in store for you today. Our guest today has over 2 decades of experience leading sales and marketing teams at some of the biggest, most innovative companies, including Microsoft, F5, SAP Concur, over 13 years at Microsoft, in fact, which says a
Yeah.
lot. He's executive professor and head of industry insights at Texas A&M University, and currently serving as chief marketing officer at Everbridge, which is a large, fast-growing, publicly traded SaaS in the critical response management space. So I'm super duper excited to learn more. But ladies and gentlemen, say hello to David Alexander. How are you, Dave?
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Chris. Really excited to be here with you and your audience today.
I know you're a busy guy. We were talking about back to back culture, but I love that you seem to be like grateful about it. You know, some people are like, "Oh, got back to backs, but you're like, back to backs. Let's go. Come on, this is fun.
Yeah, so you gotta learn to thrive in the culture for sure.
I love that. So, David, you know that we like to lead with value. You have been at this for a long time. I'm sure you have hundreds of secrets that you lean on time and time again. But share with everybody one of your best kept secrets to marketing success.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks again for having me, Chris. I think, one of those things, and I've learned this specifically with 20 years plus, as you mentioned, in tech, leading big projects, helping to drive innovation, and leading teams through difficult periods of growth transition and transformation. It's really having the team really have faith in the middle, enabling them to get through this midpoint of projects that is such a difficult time, such a difficult hurdle for organizations to get through. It
Yeah.
ultimately is the thing that determines that ability to have faith in the middle, the thing that determines your success or your inability to get through those trying times and ultimately reach your goals.
Yeah. And I mean, this applies, I think, in projects large and small, right? When you talk about something as large as a digital transformation, as expensive as a digital transformation, and as many things that go into a digital transformation, I feel like the larger the project, the more difficult it is to have faith in the middle. When
Absolutely, because the time can take much longer, and the midpoint can take so much longer to get through. It can be so much trickier and so much more complex too, depending on how large that project may be. And I started talking about this and spent a lot of time with it as I was driving these transformations, and really thought about, how do you enable teams to have confidence in the middle? How do you give them trust? And I started to lean on this concept of faith in the middle, because I think it's not just about trust, but it's just about that deeper belief in the team and enabling them and giving them the tools that they need to just get through that journey together. It really has become, in a lot of ways, the glue that, keeps everyone motivated, aligned, on the same page, especially when the going gets tough and you're going to hit storms along the way. And this is the component that really allows you to get through and to persevere. Some of
well, it's
the keys that I've talked a lot about and helping leaders navigate the middle and ultimately move through and build that faith that they need. The first is really just admitting, and this is the hardest thing for leaders, is admitting that you don't have all the answers.
yeah.
And, this can really help to build that sense of collective ownership and giving the team that freedom that they need to get creative with the solutions on how, they get through that midpoint. The second, and probably the most important, is really just to maintain calmness. We're all going to be thrown a lot of uncertainty through the journey. A lot of challenges are going to come in along the way as well. You can have headwinds and tailwinds, but really remaining calm is a great way, especially from a leadership perspective, to to project onto your team, and it frankly can be contagious as well throughout the organization. When the leader's calm, when the leader's patient, the rest of the organization is typically mirroring
I like
that
that.
performance.
Calmness can be contagious. That's a good one.
Absolutely.
And what
You know,
else? So that's two. Is there a third?
yeah, a couple other ones, obviously celebrating the small wins, and not, you know, enabling people to be fearful of failure. But, more than that, it's looking around the corner and proactively spotting potential issues that are going to impact your business. And this one's really important as the leader again, or as a group of leaders, to be able to constantly look around, because that drives the faith in the team that, you're headed in the right direction. You're constantly keeping track of what's coming next, and help ultimately kind of steering the ship wisely, if you think about it that way, um, to get yourself to the goal. And then the last thing, and this is probably a really difficult one for a lot of leaders as well, is empowering the team. And you can't do it all on your own. You've got to go and enable a team of leaders at all levels, not just your direct leadership team, but all the way through the organization. Empower them to make decisions, give
Yeah.
them the tools and teach them how to make informed decisions, and celebrate when they make the right decisions. Encourage them and coach them when they make the wrong decisions along the way. And
Yep.
again, these require a lot of growth from the leader. A lot of these capabilities don't happen overnight. These are things you have to practice through the entirety of a career. But these are really the things that start to build faith amongst the team and help you to get through that midpoint, which can be very challenging.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And as you were talking just now, you were kind of making some metaphors to ships and like a voyage. Like you mentioned, there's going to be storms along the way. But if you think about it, everybody's confident as you're setting off, right?
That's
You can
right.
still see the shore behind you. People are jazzed up, they're confident, and everybody's confident on the other side when you can see, the shore ahead of you and you're like, "Ahoy, there's land."
Yeah.
But everybody is scared shitless in the middle. Excuse my French,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because think
Exactly.
about it, and you're in the middle of the ocean. All you see around you is
Absolutely.
just you see nothing except open water, and you're not even really that confident which direction you're
That's right.
going or which direction you should be going. And
That's right.
so that's the ship metaphor, but when you take it, back to business, you gotta enable your team, and I'm still thinking about the ship, like, right, with your crew. You gotta
Yeah.
enable your
Yeah.
crew. They have to have the tools, because that's like the glue that helps everybody get motivated.
That's right.
You have to admit as the captain of the ship that you don't have all the answers, right? So many times there's a palpable pressure to feel like, "Oh my goodness, I'm the leader. I need to have all the answers."
Yeah.
But how about no? How about admit that you don't have all the answers and generate this sense of collective ownership? And then
Absolutely. Yeah.
and maintain calmness, right? I'm just kind of summarizing your 5 things, but you maintain that calmness. Calmness is contagious, right? As is the opposite of calm. Panicking is
That's right.
contagious
Yes,
too,
exactly.
right?
That's the
So
key.
you'd rather have a calm crew, a calm and collected crew than a panicky and, jittery crew. And then celebrate the small wins too, so that people aren't scared of failing. Look around the corner, and that applies to, I mean, this is such a good ship analogy. But you look around the corner so that your team knows, hey, even if this leader doesn't have all the answers, at least they're paying attention to, the horizon and what's around the corner. And then ultimately you empower the team. I feel like almost like the first 4 sort of lead to empowering the team in a way.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. And, you're right. It is a ship metaphor. I think in one of the articles I wrote on my LinkedIn, I actually have a picture of a ship that my son drew on the title of one of those articles.
Yeah.
This was several years ago when he drew it. But, I think that that first part, and you mentioned it, and it's so easy when you start the vision and you set that vision for people to be excited. I think what's important there too, though, is the clarity of that communication of the vision, right? Because you don't want just that excited energy. You want people to be really clear on where we're trying to go. That from the two is a really important thing. As you set off on that journey, because you want people to know what their role is as well, and you
Yeah.
want them to be really clear on what outcomes they're contributing to that, because that's how you maintain their energy throughout. People want to be tied to, they want to be engaged in a role that's impactful.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I've found over and over again is people want to have an impact. And so if you can tie their roles to that vision and that journey, clearly communicate where we're trying to go, it makes all the difference as you get to those hard parts as well.
Yeah. So then, you must have learned this somewhere, right? I want to talk about Everbridge in a little while, but I don't. I mean, you've only been there about a year, I know, so it probably wasn't there. But like between F5, between Microsoft, where did you learn this? Like, tell us about maybe one of your most formative experiences coming up.
Yeah, it's a career's worth of learnings, and a career's worth of great mentors, career's worth of great coaches, and being surrounded by incredible people. As you mentioned, I have spent most of my career here in tech, largely in sales and marketing roles, a little bit of both. Spent some time in sales, building sales teams at Microsoft, but also, many, many years in marketing and companies like Microsoft and SAP Concur and F5 and now Everbridge. And, really the important pieces there is identifying those mentors that you want to model and shape your own growth around. We all have those leaders that we look up to. We all have those mentors that we look up to, and trying to do modeling across those is really important. Even more so important probably is those that you have worked for or with that you don't want to be like.
Yeah.
And you say, I don't want to make that mistake. I know how that made me feel as the partner, as the team member, as the employee, whatever it was. And I don't want to put my people or those people around me in those situations. And so being able to model that really is really critical to the future, and probably just pick these things up over time. But now it's coaching them and living them and breathing them with the teams that I'm responsible for, doing the same with the students in my class at Texas A&M, and trying to model that behavior too in your life with your family and friends and others that you're around every day. And so kind of constantly have to be on top of, how am I showing up? And am I being, we're putting these really fortunate positions to lead people. You can have a real impact on their lives, their careers. And so you just have to ask yourself, how am I showing up for them every day, for the business every day, ultimately for my customers every day as well.
Yeah. Now, one more thing on digital transformation, and we'll get to Everbridge, but
Yeah.
uh, you just basically delivered a masterclass in digital transformation. I think anybody that is about to embark on a digital transformation could just take those 5 tips and
Mhm.
that could
Yeah.
just be their playbook, right? But what advice do you have for somebody that's in the middle right now
Mhm.
that might be panicking, that
Yeah.
hasn't really done a good job necessarily empowering their team with the tools, that hasn't really done, like after listening, they're now kind of kicking themselves like, damn it, I wish I would have done that. But like now I'm out here
Yeah.
in the middle of the ocean. Like, do I do now?
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for that person?
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the mantras that I, preach to my team every time I get in front of them. And so, and I try, as the leader, I try to over communicate. That's my role right now because we are kind of moving ourselves into this middle phase here at Everbridge based on the transformation and work that I'm driving with my team and across the company. And it's just over communicating. We do a biweekly CMO podcast or video that I send out to the team. And it gets harder as you're in a geographically dispersed organization where people are working from home and in multiple time zones around the world. And when you have large teams that you're trying to communicate with, it's very easy for people to feel on an island or alienated. So you got to over communicate, continue to let them know where you are on that journey, and remind them of this path that you're on. But it's over communication. The mantras that I use is every day counts, right? Number one, I always say that every day counts. We're not all of a sudden going to walk in and, fireworks are going to shoot off the building and we've hit our goal. This thing gets built over time, right? And every step forward is a step forward. Every day that we're better, that we were the day before is us moving ourselves further along this journey. So every day counts. The second is around, collaboration. And this is the time too, when you got to go in, you got to remove silos across the organization. So whether that is, make organizational adjustments to reduce those silos, or if you can, get the team to work more clearly and, intuitively, with, on purpose. They're actually, intending to do this with intent, to work collaboratively across the lines that have been built probably over time, in the organization. That's really key. So joint planning, joint celebrations of success. These are the keys. And then the last one is just, you're starting to, when you get to this midpoint, you probably gathered a lot of data and insights along the way. And so, using that data and those insights to help you make really good decisions, that will help you from making missteps along your way, along your journey, and, is really, really important. And everyone can start to own these data, these insights, these components of data that are, circulating through the organization. And, that ultimately becomes the thing that empowers them to make, decisions as well. And so, always lead with data, always lead with data as the leader, always coach with data as well. These are very important. And then the last thing, that I think is just really important is always be available. And, as I mentioned, and this is where it gets really difficult because, as the leader, I'm leading teams that are, across the globe. And, not everyone's sitting here on the West Coast, like I am today. And so, but I've got to be accessible to people. I've got to give them time, whether that's for one-on-one to, solve problems, to help them with, any number of things that they may be dealing with. And that's probably the most powerful thing that I can give them at this midpoint too, is my time and accessibility to me. And I do that to everyone in the organization, not just my leadership team, not just people with a VP title plus, it's people throughout the organization, have full access to me and to my time and to my calendar.
Wow, that's awesome. And that makes sense now why you have back to backs, right? Because you got a big team and you're always
Yes,
accessible.
exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
hey, one thing that jumped out that you said was to remove silos and intentionally, do joint planning sessions, joint celebration sessions. Who would you say, like either at Everbridge or at F5 or Microsoft, but who have emerged as like some of your unlikely allies that, like teams or individuals that you didn't expect really to be that useful or involved in the digital transformation that emerged and were just like, clutch players?
Yeah, I think it's been, I would say it's been in each of them. And, interestingly enough, a lot of the technology vendors that we have worked with, that I've worked with throughout my career, um, you know, you're not just working with the company, you're working a lot with the individuals there.
Yeah.
And I found that individuals at those tech companies that have lived with me at multiple, stages along the journey and multiple lives here, they continue to be fantastic mentors, fantastic go-tos across, what's happening in the industry or other CMOs feeling this way, because they have a lot of connections and they have a lot of contacts and they have a lot of relationships. And so they're really good ways for me to learn about what's happening. Now, I'm not just giving an ad right now for all of the MarTech companies out there, but
Yeah,
I have found that there have been very specific individuals, whether they've been consultants that we've worked with over several years, vendors that we've worked with, or suppliers that I've worked with, have turned into long-term industry friendships and mentorships, both ways, by the way, that I never would have guessed. And some of the people I rely on today are some of those people to navigate, some of the challenges that we deal with. The
that's
second
awesome.
would be just, when you move from role to role through your career, and it's a long career, and all of us or most of us have been at multiple companies or multiple um, jobs throughout, is leverage those relationships that you make along your journey as well. So
Yeah,
it's really easy to walk out of a company and turn your back on all of those individuals, and go only focus on what's ahead. But a lot of those people also have these unique journeys and they're learning things. And so I tend to maintain a good, healthy network of individuals at all levels. Whether, I've got a couple of folks that I still mentor that are, just out of college still from previous roles. So they're early in career. I've got mentors that mentor me, and that have been previous managers, previous, partners, team members, et cetera, that I keep in touch with. So it's a lot of those industry contacts. I never would have thought, sitting here, 20, 25 years in the industry, that I would have the network and the people in my corner that I can go to when things get hard. And that's been a real blessing for me personally and professionally.
yeah, absolutely. And that's great advice, is to really tap into your vendor networks, because you're right. I mean, we are a vendor. I mean, we're in the agency category, but we see like across 65, 70 different clients at a time, all of the different things happening.
Yeah.
And we do have clients that, they'll call me up personally and be like, "Hey, let's talk about this." And I'm always happy to help them. And we don't even like, I don't charge them extra. I don't even think about
Right.
charging them extra. I'm always happy to take that call. But I'm surprised that, a lot of clients actually don't even really, attempt to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a real obvious one, but a lot of people don't invest the time because it does take time.
Yeah.
And when you've got a back-to-back calendar, I think we mentioned,
Right.
it
Yeah.
can get difficult to spend the time to step back and look around, left to right, to see what others are doing, and to invest in them too, frankly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's talk about Everbridge.
Yeah.
I know you are relatively new there still. I think still in your first year. But we're gonna do kind of like a past, present, future sort of an exercise. But in the
Sure.
past, um, tell us some win stories. Brag a little bit about your team or something that you're proud of, something that you've achieved. Let's
Yeah.
start on a high note.
For sure, for sure. Yes, and I'm coming up on my first year here. By the time this thing publishes, I will probably be sitting on my 1 year with Everbridge. I came in to help the company drive and transform through its next phase of growth, and that was really why I joined the company. Not only for the culture, not only for the people, but the mission of how do we enable our customers, and our mission is keeping people safe and organizations running. So how do we enable our customers to remain resilient, um, before, during, and after a critical event happens, whether that's a weather related event. And we see a lot of those happening in our world today,
Yeah.
whether it's a, people related event, et cetera. How could I come and help usher this 20-year-old company into its next phase of growth? And so that's ultimately why I joined, and the mission that I'm on here with my team. As part of that, in the first 6 months, when we came in and we started talking about what does Everbridge mean, and celebrate, you can only get to celebrate a 20-year anniversary one time as well. And we
Yeah.
use that as an opportunity to talk to a lot of our customers. What impact is Everbridge having on your business? We talk to a lot of employees. What has Everbridge meant to you, and tell us about the customer stories and all these great customer stories, of impact and resilience that I love to hear, not only from our employees, but also from our customers. It's really, it's a real blessing when you get in the room with them and hear the way that our solutions are impacting their businesses, their organizations, their people. And so we wanted to bring that through in the brand. And we felt like this was an opportunity for us to think about, is our brand representing the impact that we're making on our customers
Yeah.
and future customers? And so we took a step. We went on a listening tour. Um, and we spent several months actually going through their stories, hearing about their stories. And we didn't feel like the mission, the messaging, or the brand was really reflecting what we were hearing from our customers. And so we took this
Yeah.
as an opportunity to reimagine the brand. And so you'll see that our mission of keeping people safe and organizations running, we renewed that mission. So we, doubled down on investing in our mission as a company. And we reinforced with a lot of clarity that we added to our messaging on what the value is that Everbridge provides. And we did that not just in messaging and positioning statements, but we did that in the way that we communicated, in the way that we engaged our customers as well, whether that be digitally and establishing new digital motions that we would engage with our customers, new motions that we would engage with them in person too, because we were just coming out of COVID and now we had to reimagine what those in-person engagements and experiences look like. And then we had to do that with our employees as well. And
Yeah.
so, as well as, you've always got a publicly traded company, you got investors and analysts, et cetera, that you've also got to, keep top of mind as you're doing these things as well. And so we ultimately reinforced not only the mission, the messaging, but we reinforced and rebuilt the brand. And so we changed our color scheme. We had been kind of this orange, red, and we changed to more of a blue. We call it Everbridge True Blue, more of a blue tone, because it really helped to reinforce the outcomes that we were providing to our customers. We felt like the
Yeah.
red was more emphasizing the critical events, and we wanted to emphasize the outcome that we provided. We also changed our logo and our font and logo type a lot, and now our business and our brand is built around what we call the resilience curve, and so it almost looks like a little curve check, but that curve represents before, during, and after a critical event where our customers that use our solutions, respond, mitigate, respond to, and recover from events in a much better place than where they began. And so that felt
That's
really
awesome.
true to our message. And so now every time you see our brand, it truly is a reflection of the benefit and the outcomes that we provide to our customers.
Yeah. The
Now I
site
know
looks
this is
great.
yeah, it's been, a real, you know, uh, tour of journey of love here to go and do that and get to know our customers and spend so much time with our employees. And we launched this back in March on the NASDAQ, which was also a really spectacular moment, for the company. And, I know that, this is the revenue driven marketer CMO podcast. And so, along that way, it wasn't just establishing the brand, but I'm really proud of the work that the team has done to kind of organize itself around our goals this year. And so enabling us to, put our resources, our team structure around where we wanted to go in the future was really important. And when you do that, you start to look at things like, organizational efficiencies, better alignment, better systems, tools, and processes. And so we've moved the needle very, very far in all of these places,
Yeah.
really improving our operating structure, frankly, our leadership framework that's enabled us to have tremendous results at the top and mid and even down funnel as well. And ultimately, engage better with our customers by providing them a much better experience. And so, we've seen significant increases and enhancements in engagement rates in the overall experience we're providing our
Yeah.
customers, and we're doing so for much less cost than what we were previously doing that. So
That's
we
awesome.
see
That's
some real
important, man. And,
Yeah.
the Chris of like 2 or 3 years ago, I would be like rolling my eyes, at brand. I had a guest on one time who is a friend and, a mentor to some extent called Drew Nicer from Renegade, who really convinced me about the revenue impact that brand can have. And it sounds like you guys did it right, because it's not just the logo, like you brought that mission front and center, like he taught me that, a rebrand or a brand refresh is not just the color scheme and the logos, but it's everything else that happens to really align the org, to align everybody from, the front lines of customer service to the sales team to the marketing org and even the financials and just change the way that you operate. So it's really kind of like a cultural shift more so than anything. And we all know that
Yeah.
culture eats strategy for breakfast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been Samantha Brown who's been driving her team, who's been driving all of this great brand work for us in partnership with Jeff Young, who runs our comms and PR team. They've done an amazing job in telling our story through words and images. And
Yeah.
then, I've got Joey Pinnick, who runs our field organization, and Darren Audie, who runs our global demand center, who have helped us to establish these digital and global motions. And then lastly, we've got Krista Ankri, who has really helped to establish this partner motion for all of these components. This is a little shout out for the team, partner components, and build the established relationships with our analyst community as well. So all of these forces are working together and pushing this forward. Again, it's not me. It's a lot of these individuals and their amazing teams that are helping us to push forward.
That's awesome. Golf clap. Brilliant.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, let's talk about current. I know you guys are kicking ass and taking names, but I'm sure it's not all wine and roses.
Yeah.
What are some of your biggest challenges? What's keeping you up at night?
Yeah. I pride myself on just being a leader that's there for the team, being a leader that's looking around the corner. And I think the one thing that I'm always thinking about is how can we continue to be prepared for the unknowable crisis that may occur,
Yeah.
as the protector of the brand, as the person who's the protector of the customer. I always feel some level of anxiety around the unknown, whether that be a customer issue or competitive issue, technology issue. And these are the things that have constantly been top of mind for me. What we've done here at Everbridge to help with that, and the team feels very similarly, is we've actually taken a very similar approach to how we think about these events as we encourage and engage with our customers. So we've started to build processes inside of our organization to you know give our customers access, to enable ourselves and our marketing teams, our sales teams to respond to and recover from these things that may happen inside of our organization. We've taken a lot of steps to do that. In some instances, we're using our own technology to do that. But I think as a leader and someone that sits at the executive leadership team level, we've got to continue to keep ourselves on top of these things and be prepared for whatever may come our way. And so that one's always top of mind.
Yeah.
I mentioned the second one a little earlier, and that's just in this geographically distributed world where people are working from home, they're working remote. We've got offices around the world, but not everyone works in an office. I myself work from home largely when I'm not traveling, and it's keeping people engaged, ensuring that the team feels engaged, aligned. They understand what's next. We're here for them when they need us. These are really important things and really hard to do. And so, as I talked about over communicating before, that's really to help alleviate even some of my own tensions internally around, making sure people are feeling engaged, making sure they're feeling heard. And frankly, that I'm hearing, what's actually happening inside of the organization. If you're sitting at
Yeah.
30,000 feet, you're going to miss a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So keeping them engaged, making sure they're telling us when things are going great or when things aren't going great. That's kind of the second one.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. And I loved your every 2 weeks like video pod. I think that's great. We had a CMO on recently who basically spent almost all of their time talking with customers,
Mm,
and they would write a little newsletter weekly
love
of
that.
all of the insights that they heard from their customers.
Love that.
Um, do you have any other routines or rituals that you use kind of like to maintain uh, that alignment and to help everybody feel included?
Yeah, it's that plus, right? So it's all of those things. I'm not uh also I'm kind of often looking at opportunities to write those individual notes to people as well.
Yeah,
No
that means a
matter
lot.
what their role is. And so I do encourage my leadership team to highlight when individual performances are, you know, the people are doing things correctly. And so it takes virtually no effort from me to send someone, a real attaboy or attagirl, in Slack and say, hey, just wanted to thank you for your dedication and the hard work that you've done on X, Y, and Z. We really appreciate you're here and the job you're doing. And you're celebrating not only collaboration and lifting others up, but those leadership opportunities that they're taking and that impact that they're making. And that what that does is it reinforces this culture around performance as well that we ultimately want to drive. And so, you don't miss an opportunity to give someone a pat on the back. And you also don't miss an opportunity, frankly, to recognize these really small wins and listen where people are coming to you. And so,
Yeah,
as I mentioned
that
earlier, giving them time is key.
that really means a lot. I think the, short personal notes of gratitude and appreciation and recognition mean a lot to everybody, but there's a certain cohort of people where that's their work love language, like verbal appreciation. And for some people that means even more than, a raise potentially.
Absolutely. And I try to end every one-on-one with the team or even, business partners or individuals, and, whether that's people on the ELT or people that are individual contributors in my organization or elsewhere in the org, and just ask them, what can I do for you? Right.
Yeah.
And, so often, people are looking to what can I do for the executive, and I think they appreciate when you ask them what can I do for you, and that's when a lot of the real trust is built, that I talked about earlier. That's when a lot of the authenticity, which is kind of an overused word, but is built is when you're asking them, hey, I know you're an individual contributor, but what can I do for you?
Yeah. No, that's brilliant, man. Um, so let's go forward. Let's
Yeah.
look into the future. What is on the agenda? What are you guys investing in? What are you kind of budgeting for next year? What are there any new channels you're looking at? Like what's on the horizon?
Yeah. I mean, we're constantly looking at the go to market and, we're, always looking at places where we can optimize our investment. Return on marketing investment, ROMI, is a key metric that the team is constantly looking at. And so I would say we're, constantly enabling the team to make better data-driven decisions. That's always top of mind for me and for the team. The second would be, how do I continue to create better experiences for our customers? I know I've mentioned that a couple of times, but experience drives everything, especially when you're looking at, lead funnels, when you're looking at um, our company versus our competitors, and we do have competitors out there, and ultimately reducing friction for our customers, our sellers, and marketers to have the engagements that they want to with the team. And then the third is, and this is always top of mind for me, and part of our future as well, is how do I continue to attract top talent? It's really important that we are, bringing individuals in that can help give us a couple of steps forward,
Yeah.
in that kind of leapfrog. that you sometimes won't find if you just keep at it at the same pace. And so how do we bring in the best of the best to help us
Yeah.
make better informed decisions? Whether that's, bringing in excellent leaders, whether that's bringing in excellent domain experts, or
Yeah.
just people that are going to expand and accelerate the culture that we have on the team.
Yeah.
And then the last piece would just be always testing and thinking about new technologies and how they can also, help us do that leapfrog, right? It's not just individuals and people that are going to help us leapfrog. We're looking at, AI and how can that help us make a big move and potentially leapfrog things. And I know that's probably the most overused statement in the industry right now, but it's true. It's how do I eliminate some of the mundane administrative tasks that my team has to go and do, and enable that using technology and AI to do those things for them on our behalf. And then enabling my team to think more creatively and spend more time thinking about how to drive better engagement with our customers. This is key. This is how you start to get those productivity wins that are going to enable us to take those 2 steps forward, like I mentioned.
Yeah. And it is heavily used, right? We're in that wave, arguably the
Yeah,
peak of the
sure.
wave. But it's you have to think about that and use the way that you said it is smart and correct is like how do we use AI for our particular workflows and like what are our opportunities?
Right.
Um our CTO is like deep down that rabbit hole. He showed me this video. It's like a 2-minute video for one of our clients who's in a totally different space in the solar space. But it was pretty good and I was like, "Hey, that's a good video." He goes, "Dude, I made that with one prompt. It was it
Absolutely.
was
It's
15
unbelievable.
words. 15 words in this one prompt. Output a 2-minute, like pretty good usable video. It's crazy the opportunity.
It really is unbelievable. And it's going in and putting that first and thinking about that first and saying, how do we use AI to solve this problem for us or help us to do this task
Yeah.
versus what is our task? Oh, maybe we should consider using AI. It's like, how do you try to put AI first in the thought process? Because then it starts to change the way you look at those problems, how you can go solve them.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this has been amazing. I could talk to you for hours. You're a very
Likewise.
impressive
Thank
marketer,
you.
very impressive leader. I've learned a lot here today.
Awesome.
So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
I'm sure that everybody listening also has enjoyed this. And I think our timing is good for the lightning round.
All
Are you
right.
ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Ready.
Here we go. Question number one. If you were to start a side hustle, what side hustle would that be?
So, as I mentioned earlier, I'm amazed by the customer stories and these customer moments that our products deliver. And I wish there was a way to harness that outside of G2 Crowd and review sites and outside of, just customer testimonials. Our solutions have a 358% ROI, according to Forrester, that they provide, and how we can go and capture that and these moments of brilliance that our solutions provide, these moments of resilience that our solutions can provide. I wish there was a tool or technology to go and do that better.
So you would make that as your
I'd
side
make
hustle.
that. Yeah.
That's a good one. Awesome. Cool. Number two is top three books or authors or influencers that have made an impact in your career.
Yeah. I'll give you four if that's okay.
Sure.
The first you have to say is the Bible, and I read it every day, and it's changed who I am as a leader. It's changed who I am as a person, and I think there's a lot of greatness there that each of us can take from that. And so that's kind of the first one. The
Awesome.
second one is a book called Lead Like It Matters, and that's by a guy named Craig Groeschel. He also has a leadership podcast. It's been highly influential for me as a leader and to think about leadership problems and challenges. Uh, the third would be Measure What Matters by John Doerr. That one is fantastic. I've been using the concept of OKRs for many years now. And leaning on these concepts of just driving this data-driven culture through OKRs makes it achievable. It makes it, I talked about everyday counts. These OKRs enable you to really reinforce everyday counts as we move toward our goals and keeping people aligned.
Love
And
it.
then the last, so I'll get, if I can have four, the first 90 days. So, book by a guy named, Michael Watkins. And, I've used this multiple iterations through my career, whether I was starting a new role, a new job at a new company, or even going into a new project, like big project. It is such a great blueprint for how to think about that that task that you have to do, that hurdle that you have to get over in the first 90 days. It's really, really a great a blueprint, I'll call it, for how to be successful.
Oh, we love that. And question number three is, how do you avoid burnout and how do you help your team to do the same?
Yeah, I think I'll start with how do you help the team? I think you've got to give the team space, right? And the team, your individuals in the team are living lives like you are, and things happen in life. Giving them space to restore, renew, and come to work and be amazing, I think is really important. So giving people space and letting people be humans inside of your organization is a first to helping the team avoid burnout. And they still will burn out at times, but all of the things that I talked about earlier can also help burnout, or tying them to, impact, tying their jobs to impact, helping to remove administrative tasks, et cetera. These are key for the team. For
Love
me
that.
personally, it's time with family. I love vacations. I wish I could use a vacation these days, but I don't really need those long, week long, 2 weeks in Hawaii. Again, although that sounds really, really amazing saying it. I kind of need time in these little spurts, right? And so it's
Yeah.
like kid sports, sitting in the bleachers in a baseball game. These are the things that, going on adventures with the family, time with the family. These are the things that restore me. Time with friends, kind of taking things one day at a time as well. And we've got all of these insurmountable problems and challenges that we face across our personal lives and our business. And, knowing that I don't have to solve it today, but I can just take steps forward to that, and chip away at where I'm trying to go is really a good mindset for me to continue to compartmentalize the big challenges as they come. And
Yeah.
then, lastly, for me, it's about, when I have free time and when I can, it's giving back. And, I sit on the board of an organization. We have a Haiti orphanage in Jacmel, Haiti. So we have a school for 70 kids, and we've got orphans there. And it's been, a real blessing for me and for my life. And then, lastly, teaching at Texas A&M is a way for me to give back. And so I'm sharing a lot of these things that you and I have talked about today, and a lot of details on how they learn about driving a go-to-market strategy and messaging and positioning and building demand gen plans, and giving them these real-world insights to these students that I have in my class at Texas A&M has been really incredible way for me to restore and renew myself. So that component of giving back is key for me as well.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, David. You are a 360-degree, all around badass as a
Thank you.
human and as a leader and a marketer.
I
I'm
appreciate that.
sure everybody loved this as much as I did. And on that note, for everybody listening, if you learned something here today, or if you laughed a little bit, tell a friend about us or drop us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast store. David, as we wrap up here, for folks that are interested to learn more about you or your team or Everbridge, where would you direct them to?
Everbridge.com to go and learn more about Everbridge. We have great sites, and there's great ways to go engage with us there. If you'd like to engage with me, I'm always happy to hear from people on LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn is just whack David Alexander 425 whack. So you can find me there, and always happy to get a note from people on LinkedIn as well.
Cool. Well, thank you, David. This has been awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate the time today. Thank you.
All right. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was another awesome episode of Revenue Driven CMO. And we will see you next time. And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us here today. For show notes and other episodes, visit us at revenuedrivencmo.com. That's revenuedrivencmo.com. And hey, exclusive for listeners of this podcast, Web Mechanics will do 10 to 20 hours of work for you for free. Literally no sales calls, no BS. Just give them a problem and they will put a team to work for you for free for 10 to 20 hours. Even if you're already a client, if you're struggling with demand gen, lead gen, SEO, SEM, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, conversion optimization, if you can't get Facebook or Meta ads to work for the life of you, or you can't figure out attribution, Web Mechanics will take a good hard look at whatever problem you give them, whatever programs you put in front of them, and they will give you an objective, informed opinion, plus some advice from 10 to 20 hours of senior level attention. And that's just because you're a listener of this podcast. So I would suggest take them up on this offer. It's ridiculous. Go to revenuedrivencmo.com/free, fill out the 2-minute form, and you will not regret it. Literally zero downside, unlimited potential for growth. So do yourself a favor, revenuedrivencmo.com/free, no hyphens, no punctuations. You will be happy about that decision.